So let's start. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We hope that you had a very good day at the conference and you are enjoying it. We are going to talk a little bit about coding in the cloud with Eclipse Che, a developer workspace cloud, not just a cloud IDE, and you will see why. So we are first. We are.
So I'm
to introduce ourselves.
Yes. So my name is Santan. I'm working for the company called Sarli. It's a company located in Poitiers, somewhere in France. And I'm a Java developer and an Eclipse Che committer.
And I'm Stéphane Lemer, and I'm a product manager at CodeNV. So the agenda for this session will be, we will discuss a little bit about the developer environment configuration problem. We will introduce Eclipse Che, and we will have a big part for live demo, so some live coding today, and Q&A at the end as well. So first, the developer workspace. So the developer workspace is really everything which is happening in the life of the developer. It starts from creating, importing a project from Git, SVN, or something else. And then it transitions to the developer cycle, where you will edit the code, you will build it, you will run the test, you will run the application. And it will go to another step where you will transition it to a commit or you will deploy it. So the developer workspace is really responsible for the toolchain integration. It is also responsible for the local edit, build, and run cycle, for the resource management as well, and security and isolation of your code. The developer workspace is plugged with the editors that you are using on your day-to-day. So it can be Eclipse, it can be Sublime, it can be IntelliJ as well. It is integrated with your toolchain, so the code repository, for example, or maybe your continuous integration system, your issue management system as well. And it will interact with your targets as well when you will deploy your project to a path or interact with databases that you may use inside of your project. And during all those interaction between the developer workspace and the developer, you will have a lot of configuration steps. And the configuration is really constant, and it's painful, in fact. We are spending a lot of time configuring the integration with the toolchain and with other tools that we may use. And it's costing time for the organization. So if you think about the problems that are happening when you are setting up a developer workspace, it's really true when you have a project with a large number of projects, in fact, in your company. You may have different technologies, you may have some intersection points, and some of the projects may not use the same dependencies. And if you are working in teams, it's even more complex because you will have to manage the newcomers. So each time there is a newcomer, you have to explain how to set up the developer workspace. The people in your team may have various skills. So some of them may prefer going inside of the terminal and configuring everything, and some others will just like to click. You may also have some people which will not have the permission on the system, so they will not be able to install everything that they want without asking a system administrator, for example. So finally, everything and all this complexity is not helping you and helping the developer on the goal to contribute immediately to a project. And the way we are solving this problem today is by having documentation. So we are writing long wiki pages with a lot of steps, install this, run this script, use these variant images, some stuff like that. But it's always manual and error prone. And it's, again, time consuming because you have to maintain it as well. And sometimes it is just not maintained, so even if you have a documentation, you will not be able to run the setup of the developer workspace configuration. So there is a need for a developer workspace codification, in fact. The developer wants environment ready to code without having anything to install. The teams want modern architectures without absorbing their complexity. The DevOps want versionable workspace that are integrated with their toolchain. And CIOs want IP governance controls and also enforce the coding practice as well, across inside of a team, but also across many teams. So how to deliver that? So our take is that we can create a recipe that will define the workspace. We will have an automation system to manage the workspace lifecycle. We will use microservices for the developer task, and we will use Docker to run those microservices. And with that, we will be able to provide workflow that enforce the corporate coding policies and analytics to benchmark the developer performance. So the solution is really Eclipse Che and the CodeNV platform. So it's developer workspace cloud that eliminates the configuration hell. On one side, you have the workspaces, the web IDE, and offline sync to code from anywhere and without running out of resources. And on the other side, you have the automation and the governance to provision developer workspace that are very simple to share and securely manage. So with CodeNV and Eclipse Che, we are creating repeatable, shareable, scalable, and compliant developer workspace. So
Eclipse Che is comes. You can download it as a Tomcat server that you can install it locally on your machine, and you can run it. And you will access to the application through a web browser. And it's a complete IT. So it's you have Eclipse Che. It will be the same one that is hosted on CodeNV, but locally, if you like to write new extensions, for instance, or just use it for writing Java programs or any languages. It's extendable pretty much like Eclipse IDE, where you can create new plugins for Eclipse IDE. In our case, we would create extension for Eclipse Che. And the customization can be at each level. You can create extensions for the UI by creating an extension, a GUID extension for the client side. You can also create a server-side extension, which will be written in Java, and it would offer REST services that the client would be able to use. And you can also use the existing REST services or the one that you created in Java from your rich clients or a CLI. So, as I told you, Eclipse Che is it's the IDE plus the SDK to create new extensions. And it comes with the REST API, a default REST API to access to the workspace, file system, to access to the builders and the runners. And it comes with a lot of extensions for giving you features for Java, JavaScript, Maven, Gradles, Git, and accessing to SQL database. So it's all encoded in Eclipse Che.
And on top of Eclipse Che, we have the CodeNV platform, which is providing operation system management to manage the multi-tenancy and the security. We also have automation tools and user management as well. So all of this is distributed. So Che is a project from Eclipse Foundation. But otherwise, you have the CodeNV platform, which is available on codenv.com. That's our SaaS public offering. But you can also install all this system behind your firewall with an on-premise offering that we have. So you can install that on a single node, multi-node, or from various cloud marketplaces. Okay, so that's all for the slides. Now we will go inside of the demo. So we will show you a little bit how it looks and how it works. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that going on codenv.com and I'm going to log in. So when I hit the button login, I'm redirected automatically inside of my user dashboard where I can see my project. So I can see that I have projects from various types, from various technology stacks. So I have some Ruby, some Angular. I also have Python and PHP. And I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to create a project with one of my workspaces. So we are loading the workspace and its configuration. And here you have a widget which is allowing you to select one of the project type that we are providing. So here you are already inside of Eclipse Che, in fact. So everything that you see here is part of Eclipse Che. It's extensions. So I'm going to create a new project, which will be a Spring project here. Spring.
So these are templates that are ready to use. So you can take any templates to start a new project.
So the project is created, and as soon as the project is created, you can see that the product detects the pom.xml file, and we are automatically updating the dependencies. So the dependencies are injected back inside of the project, so you can also browse the dependencies from here. As you can see, I have the Project Explorer, which allows me to open and browse the code of my project. I can also see the outline view, so I will have all the shortcuts to navigate inside of the various declarations inside of my Java class.
Can you create a new class?
And I'm going to create a new class. So I'm going to create a new Java class, and that will be a speaker class.
We can also create other types of types. There's
So
interfaces on our name or annotation, but we're here. You create a class.
yeah. So here is my class. And inside of this class, I'm going to add a new method, which will return a string. Name, get name. And
Steven, for instance, or Sen, or whoever you want.
return So you can see that while I was writing, I get some error messages and some control here, which is explaining me what is the error. So that's already some stuff that you are used to get inside of your traditional IDE. And here I still have the outline.
You can build it?
I can build it, yes. So to do that, I can go into the menu Build and Build. So I can do a Maven build, but I can do also a custom Maven build where I will...
And I think we support also a Gradle.
Yeah, that's right. So when I'm building the project, I have the outputs of the Maven build that are directly displayed inside of the IDE. I can get the WAR. I can download it, but I can also access it here. And I can go here and see that my class is part of my package, my WAR file. So I will let Sun continue the demo inside of the IDE.
Thank you, Steven. So I'm going to show you features of the Java editor. So the first thing that you can see is that we support the syntactic coloration of Java. But the main thing that you want to have, of course, is the completion and the content assist. This is the main thing you want to have in your IDE, or otherwise you will use VI. And so if I go back to the grading controller, what I can do, for instance, is a string speaker name equals to a new control space, or not. Ah.
It's a Mac, so...
Sorry. And dot control space, it's also the network. And get name. And so we have the completion. We also have the online documentation. If I go to quick documentation, I can see the documentation of this class that is coming from Spring. And so this is getting the Maven documentation from Maven. You can also go into that class that is a dependency from the project, open declaration, and you will have the sources that has been downloaded as well. And you can browse on it. What if I want to do a bit of TDD? And let's say that I want to write a new method. So I'm going to write the method on the way I think it will looks like. I will call it my local method, and I will put as parameter a speaker. As you can see, it detects that there is a problem here. It's saying that the method doesn't exist. So what I can do is use the quick fix. This is what we usually do when we're doing TDD. And it would create automatically, like you expected, the method. And I can use some templates with the completion, for instance, sys out air trace, so sys out, to complete the sys out, and write a speaker name plus speaker. So as you can see, you can do pretty much a lot of things that you already do in Eclipse, but it's in a browser. And then once you're happy with your code, you can run it. So here on the top, you have a predefined Docker container that is available. We detect that the project is it's a WAR file, a WAR project. So we will suggest you the predefined runner that you can use. We will see after that we can create our own Dockerfile to run our projects. But here I'm going to choose Tomcat and Java 7. And if I click on run, it will use Docker to create the container images. And it will automatically take the result of the build, the WAR file, and copy it inside the container. So we'll be instantly be able to test your application. And you will be able also to, for instance, use a database or whatever. So this is a very simple Docker file.
So what if the application stack is a bit different? Will you have to edit the Docker file?
What do you mean by?
So that means that inside of CodeNV, in fact, you are able to run any application stack that you want as far as you are able to write the Docker file. So that means that anything that you can do in Docker, you will be able to run it within Eclipse Che.
Yeah. So the Docker file is running. You can access to the container with the terminal here. So to show you that it's a real Linux, I can do a top. I can see that the Java process is running, and I can do ls. And most important things is you want to test your application. So there is a link which where you can access to the application. And I can try my application, make sure that it works. Hello, son. Next, as a Java developer, what we want to do as well is debugging. And we can do it with Eclipse Che as well. If I shut down the running Docker container, I have available the button debug. And if I click on it, it will start again the runner. And if you look at the Docker file, you can see that it has added few lines to expose the debug ports and to run Tomcat with in the debug mode. And automatically, once the application is started, not yet, but soon, it will open a tab for debugging. And I will be able to, for instance, add a breakpoint. And if I click back, if I access to the application, and if I type my name, it will stop at the breakpoint. Was it this one? No. Or not? Oh, yes. It will stop at the breakpoint here. And you will be able, for instance, if you want to try another value as for the username, you can change it, like in Eclipse. And as we know, Sun is now awake now. So I will change it, and if I continue my application, I will see in the result this one that's it's been updated. So you have debug features in Eclipse Che.
So everything that we shown during this part of the demo, we haven't installed anything on the machine. So we just connect to the product and we import the code. We start editing the code and we run it without having anything to install. So that's pretty good because you have a lot of Java features. You also have the ability to run with the environment that you want, and you also have a debugger. But now, what is happening when I want to share that? Because one of the big benefits of being on the cloud is the ability to share that very easily with others. So let's say that I was coding with Sun and I have a problem and I want to share this problem to my colleague Sun to help me. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get a URL that will be able to recreate a Workspace replica, which will have the exact same configuration. We will have all the runner, the builder, and all the Workspace elements that are part of exactly configured the same way. So to do that, I'm going back into my user dashboard, and I have a tab which is called Factories, which is the name of the feature that allow us to do that. And I will create a new factory from a project. And I will select this project. So it's saying that I'm not able to create the factory because I have not initialized the Git repository for this project. So I'm going to do it now. And I can update this one. Okay, so now I have a JSON, and inside of this JSON, I have a set of properties that are defining the Workspace configuration. I have all the information for the project. I have its visibility, I have the runner configuration, I have also the builders, the type of the project, and some other attributes, and I have the source information. So with all of this, we are able to recreate a Workspace replica. So I'm going to hit the button Create, and we will serialize that behind a URL that I can give to Sun, and Sun will be able to open it on his side. So here I'm recreating a new Workspace. It's isolated from the one that I had before. It's a new one. I can apply some ACL and permission rules on it. And I can have Sun without having anything to install on his machine. He can help me, he can give a look to my project, he can build the project. We can work on completely different branches and completely different features. He will be able to do that without being interrupted inside of his own work.
And I will also not breaking his project, as it's isolated.
Yeah, as well. So here, once again, I can hit the button Run, and I can run the project in few seconds. So once you have this system, and once you have a project which is configured inside of Eclipse Che, it's very easy to share it and to have automation workflow around the developer setup. So we did a sample of an integration. So here, the project that we have here is a Spring Pet Clinic demo, and it's based on the Spring Pet Clinic sample code that Spring is providing. And instead of having all the configuration steps that we have in the readme.md file, what we did is that we put a small button. And behind this button, we will have a factory. So if you see the documentation here, you have it's very simple. It's a git clone, nvn tomcat7 run. So that's not very complex, but you still have to get Git installed on your machine. You still have to get Maven installed on your machine. You still have to get Java as well. So it's already some stuff that you may not want to do. And it's really much easier to click on a button, in fact. And being redirect inside of a developer workspace, where we will automate some stuff. So we will we will ask the workspace to open some specific files. We will also have the ability to start automatically a runner. So here I have one runner, which is starting. And I am also able to edit the code. So I'm going to wait just a little bit. And here it is. Okay, so in few seconds, I have rebuilt a complete workspace without having anything to install on my machine. I can also contribute back. So let's say that I'm going to edit this file. I have a pull request panel that is displayed on the right, sorry. I can create a pull request directly from the IDE without having to configure anything. So I'm committing my changes first on my local clone. So what we are doing is that we ensure that on my GitHub account I have a fork. We will push the temporary branch that we create here from the local clone to the fork, and then from the fork we will issue the pull request. So I am also able to edit the code without having the complexity to configure my developer workspace, and in fact I can integrate that with all the workflows that I may have as a developer. So maybe it will show the branch. So when the pull request is issued, you have the pull request which is displayed, and to facilitate the review of the pull request, we are also putting a button inside of the comment of the pull request to allow the developer, the reviewer, to validate the code without just giving a look to the changes, but also being able to build and run that. So that's one of the benefits of being on the cloud. It's the ability to recreate and share the developer workspace very easily. But one of the other aspects which is important as well is the ability to use more resources. So in fact, when you are coding locally, you are always constrained to the resources that you have on your machine. So you will never be able to run 10 instances of your application simultaneously, for example. So let's say that you want to compare two versions of the application with a different environment stack. You will be able to do that because we are running the resource, we are running on the cloud, and we have elasticity on the resources that we are using inside of the developer workspace. So once you have the factories plus the elasticity, you are able to think about how you can benefit that inside of your developer workflows. And maybe there are some tasks that you are executing today post-commit. They are run by your continuous integration, for example, and maybe you should be able to do that before you do the commit. So imagine that you have a complex project and you have a lot of Selenium tests that are very long to run, and you want to ensure that your Selenium test will be okay and will be fine before you do your commit. So with this ability to scale the resources, we can parallelize all the tests that are executed, and we can give a feedback very easily, in fact. So that's some ideas of potential integration that can be done as well. Let's go back to the slides. So I think that's it for the demo.
Yep.
And have you got any questions? Yes.
So is it free?
Is it free? So Eclipse Che is free because it's open source. So you can run that locally, but it will be single user and without multi-tenancy as well. On codenv.com, it's free for the first 10 gigabyte hours that you are using, and then you pay for the RAM that you are consuming. So it's a pay-as-you-go system of billing on the runners. It's on demand, exactly.
So it's only the Docker images that you're launching that you're paying for.
Okay.
So the ID, you can use it forever. So you can spend sometimes through
if I don't have any internet connection,
yeah.
Can I use Codenv?
Yes.
Energy?
So the offline, how we are managing the offline mode, in fact. So the way so the build and the run, they are executed on our infrastructure. So when you trigger a build or you trigger a run, you are triggering them on our infrastructure. But what you are able to do, and we have an Eclipse plugin for that, is that you are able to retrieve the code of your project directly inside of your Eclipse workspace, and you are able to do a build, to trigger the build within Eclipse, but using Codenv infrastructure to do the build and to do the run. So you can still benefit from the cloud developer services that we are providing by REST APIs as well. So you will be able to do the local edit, the build for the distant server, that will be much complex.
So speaking of the APIs, how extensible are they? Speaking straightly directly to Eclipse Che, for example, can I have something like custom run targets? So I'm developing an Eclipse plugin, I'm using the web IDE so I can easily share it with my colleagues and so forth. But can I make a plugin for Che so that I can launch a local Eclipse instance so then I can automatically load and debug my plugin that I'm developing using the web IDE, for example?
So the question is, if you have a plugin on Eclipse or Eclipse Che?
It's basically, are we restricted to Docker containers for deployment, debug, and so forth? Or
No, not at all, in fact. So we are using Docker to execute developer microservices on our side, but the way you will write your extension is your own. So if you want to write your Java server-side code the way you want to execute some deployment task or deployment command, that's perfectly fine. We have no objection on that, in fact. So the only thing that we care is that creating that as an API, so it can be accessed not only from this web IDE, but also from other environments.
Is it possible to create plugin projects?
Plugin projects within
or Eclipse projects?
Eclipse
Application.
Not at the moment because we.
I have got a lot of different
Yes, there is no. We support Maven projects, but we don't have the JDT or the JDT, the PDE in environments. So yes and no. Maybe there's a way to expose the target platform in a runner in a container, and maybe find a way to get the dependencies and resolve it. But we don't. It doesn't support OSGI resolutions and stuff like that.
I guess that the new project templates are defined by extensions.
Yeah.
So that would be possible to have a kind of template for that.
That can be possible, yeah. That can be possible.
It's definitely possible to write the plugin and maybe get the dependency somehow with Maven or anything, and then deploy it, copy it into an Eclipse in a Docker container. So that would be possible. Tomorrow morning we have another session where we're going to do a live pair programming with Eclipse Che, Eclipse Orion, Eclipse IDE, modifying the same Java files. So with people in the room, it's going to be tomorrow the first session in Cassiope. And so we will pair programming with me, you, and maybe other people on the internet. So if you want to come.